Welcome to the A-Train Show. And now here's your host, the A-Train, Arlington Lane.
Welcome to this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane. It didn't go the way I had planned, but that's okay. It's Wild Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. And so we got a bit of wrestling to talk about and some WNBA. Before we get into that, all of that good stuff, I want to get into some of the latest news. Latest news here on the A-Train Show is one, golly, where do I begin? Let me start by saying this. This is starting to become evident that it's going to make its triumphant return. And for those that have been tuning in, the NBA on NBC, looks like NBC is going to win that battle. And they're going to get the rights to the NBA again. With that being said, a lot of people around social media last night were talking about this is literally going to be the end of Inside the NBA. There's a yes and there's a no. The yes is that if it does go away, Ernie Johnson is not leaving Turner Sports. He's a lifer. He's going to be a lifer in Atlanta. He has that much seniority that he's never going to leave. So, yes, it would hurt that part. Can't say this. I don't know if Kenny's going to be leaving. Charles said he would leave, and don't know the certainty of Shaq. So, yeah, I wanted to get that out the way for sure. But, yes. Probably we'll get to touch on a little bit more on Friday, but I want to make sure I got it in today. My goodness, this is getting crazy. I never thought that I would see the TNT end, but like I've gotten from people on social media and stuff, all good things got to come to an end at some point. Also, what happened to this group? What happened to this group? The Minnesota Timberwolves, man. There was a time where they had the world on their shoulders and they let the Denver Nuggets come back into the series. As much as I want to sit back and say they should have, Jamal Murray should have been out for a game or so, that for his actions in game 2, they still had a job to do and they didn't do that. They came out flat in both games in Minnesota, and now they find themselves being from going up 2 to now facing an elimination game in game 6. Like, dude, you gotta really fix this. It's getting out of control, man. Like, you had this series and you took your foot off the gas and you moved your foot off their necks. And you saw what Jokic did to what he did to brother Rudy Gobert. How did I get this one in? Oh, I think I know why. But I'm gonna get him in a second. I didn't even know I had 2 special guests coming in today. So but I wanted to get that one in, and then also real quick, gonna talk some, like I said, I'm gonna talk some WNBA, and then I'm gonna get some wrestling in. And I know this guy want to get in real quick. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and take the time out right here, and I come back. I'm gonna touch some wrestling with Derek King of the Derek King Sports Show. I think he's going to want to talk some wrestling with me. And so we'll be right back after the break. You're tuned in to the A-Train Show. It's Wild Wednesday right here on Fuel Sports Network.
Houston, we've triumphed. I've made it back to Earth with the cargo intact. The game-changing, time-sensitive payload is none other than the revolutionary energy flavor we've all been waiting for. Introducing Merc Mayhem Cherry Limeade. Merc Clan played a crucial role in securing this energy flavor, and together we've unlocked the future of power. Merc Mayhem is not just a drink. It's a statement, a fusion of relentless energy and bold flavor. The secret is out. Merc Mayhem is set to redefine the energy landscape, leaving ordinary drinks in its cosmic dust. Get ready for a taste explosion that matches Merc Clan's unparalleled power. Join the revolution, and let's unleash Merc Mayhem upon the world. Astronaut M signing off.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
Welcome back to this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane. Joining me on the program today, and you know what, I just kind of got this at the last second, which is fine. You know, I always like surprises and stuff when I'm doing this show. And coming on the program with me today is the host of the Derek King Sports Show. You just seen it just a few hours ago at 9 a.m. Here in the Central Time Zone is the one and only Mr. Derek King, co-founder of Gateway City Sports. Good afternoon to you, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. If I'm gonna be honest with everybody today, and you know what, I'm gonna show my honesty side today. I just got up literally a half an hour ago to get ready for this show. But you can't tell because here I am. I'm ready to go. But that's how things are sometimes.
Well, what you're telling me is you had a dubby.
You know what? I did.
That's what you're telling me. You had a dubby.
Dubby put me out.
Dubby put you out.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't have my energy until 30 minutes ago.
Oh, well,
Okay?
yeah, that's right.
That's what that would mean. Okay. We talking wrestling today. And one of the things I want to touch on with you, I don't know, did you get to see Monday Night Raw? Monday night?
No, I unfortunately I hadn't this week. It's been kind of a hectic week with a lot of stuff going on. You know, we just did when we went live at 9 a.m. for the Derek King Sports Show, we did the Battlehawks ticket giveaway.
Yes.
And we had a lucky winner. His name is Chris Donovan. He's going to be taking his son to his very first football game. And, you know, again, when we give away, we do giveaways. We don't do it half-baked like most places do and just give you the ticket and then expect you to kind of float it on your own. We not only do the ticket, but we also do the parking too at the same time. So that way you're not out in the cold and you don't have to either walk a country mile or you have to pay exorbitant parking prices to be able to get into the game, because we do it all the way here on Gateway City Sports and the Field Sports Network.
That's right. That's how we do things. Hey, so real quick, I want you to just kind of in your mind, if you remember WrestleMania, you saw it with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre had the title belt for a brief second, and of course, he lost due to the cash in from Damian Priest, right? And so this past week on Monday Night Raw, things kind of came to a head between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre was basically trying to blame everybody else for his failures, and Damian Priest was calling him out on it, which is what most wrestlers would do in this case. But it's kind of funny how two heels are going at it these days and all trying to make Raw a better show than what it is right now. And so far, it's just not been hitting. It says Fan Fest 2 this weekend at the Aviator. Oh, okay. It looks like something I'm gonna have to look forward to. Hopefully, work permits. But back to the whole thing with what's going on with Drew. Drew, didn't he just if I'm not mistaken, he just re-signed with WWE.
That's correct. Yeah, he
That's
just
correct.
resigned. I don't know the terms of the deal. I do know that it was a multi-year deal. Again, when they were doing this kind of storyline deal with him not being signed, is he going to sign? Is he not going to sign? Is he going to jump ship? He's kind of trying to play that whole narrative. We all knew, really kind of in the know, that he was going to be staying with WWE and that he was going to be signing a long-term deal, but that's kind of how that panned out.
Exactly. And so at this rate right now, he's trying to get back into the whole world heavyweight title situation. And I think at this, he said they literally handing out 5-year deals right now. And that's a fact.
They're 5-year guarantees. That's just what they're throwing out right now.
Yeah. And so at this rate, he's back in play for it. I guess, is there a way where Drew can infiltrate into Judgment Day? And there's many possibilities, but can he infiltrate into Judgment Day to get his hands at the world heavyweight title again?
I think that's kind of the angle they're starting to push it to, because again, I look at it and go, okay, where do we go from here? And when you have two prominent heels, and we all know how good Drew is on the stick, right? He's up there with Punk. He's up there with some of the better ones that can actually cut a real hard promo and it come off very well. Damian, he's still kind of coming around as one of those guys that can talk, but you're starting to see, and they've already planted those seeds here over the last few weeks, of Damian starting to kind of transition a little bit to that tweener, and then he's probably going to turn full baby. But, they're doing the same thing with Rhea Ripley. And I really think that they're not going to take her the direction once she comes back from injury, that they're not going to take her the direction of going harder, even fuller onto heel. I think they're going to start to transition her, just like they're doing Damian, of this slow burn back into either a semi-baby, a tweener type of character, to where you not really know what they're going to be bringing to the table week after week after week, and that's what keeps people tuning into the product.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. I have seen that in recent weeks with Damian Priest, that he didn't want help in the matches, and then it make it seem like he was about to be angry at Judgment Day, and then he kind of pull back and say, you know what, I'm sorry for getting mad at you guys. This is the reason why we're here. So it keeps the teeter-totter going. You don't know if he's going to turn just yet. And they'll, surprise you. They could do it at a pay-per-view. They could do it on a Monday Night Raw. And that's kind of the cool thing of what they have going on with this storyline with the Judgment Day, now that Rhea's out. And then here comes Carlito into the mix for the Judgment Day. And so a lot of it's not sketchy, but it's still will, like you said, keep interest going on what's going on with the Judgment Day. I want to move over a little bit to Jey Uso. Jey Uso had a match against Damian Priest at the last pay-per-view in Backlash France. Came up short, and a lot of us fans said this is all filler for Punk and Drew. We'll see. It does seem like a lot of fluff.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of fluff right now.
Yeah.
But right now, Jey Uso is in the King of the Ring tournament, and he beat Ilya Dragunov, and people were upset at the fact that he beat such a good wrestler like Ilya Dragunov. And here's my thing: when you think about like that, when you think that way, Jey is already elevated. Ilya is just really getting onto the main roster. Everybody knows how good he really is. But the thing is, Ilya is not for that tournament. It's just like filler. just to get him a match on Monday Night Raw, and he has to be beaten by somebody. I know Jey Uso doesn't look like the person that he can beat, but he's on such a high right now that you cannot take him off that pedestal, and he's going to need some type of championship or some type of recognition where it can elevate his status. What you thinking?
I agree, and Jeremy's popping over, and he's popping off over here in the comment section that Dragunov is a mid-carder on the main roster. I will agree for the moment, but I'll kind of follow it up. And
Okay.
I'll sit there and I'll say this. I think what they're doing is building him more into and I hate using wrestlers of wrestling past, but it's a good analogy to kind of get people into the headspace of what it is that they're trying to do with the character. With Ilya Dragunov, I think they're pushing him to be more of a big time intercontinental kind of heavyweight champion, that guy that's always right there. He's not A tier, but he's not C tier. He's B tier. He's that guy that's always kind of in the mix, and that over time you're going to start to see that. Now, obviously, it's going to be dependent on Dragunov as a competitor, as a talent, of how he's going to get over and stay over. That's going to be one of the biggest, hardest things he's going to be able to do. You look at other characters that are in that program, and you look at the ring general himself, and you go, oh, wow, look at a guy who just got over by being that good. He's just that good in the ring. He's that good at the ring presence, at being in there working with guys, doing his programs, and then moving, kind of William Regal-esque to a certain extent, where I kind of like to say he's that guy that you could put in there with a broom and he could work them. And he could not only work them, but he could work the whole audience at the same time. Because William Regal was a very cerebral in that sense. He could find a way to say just a little bit of something. He could be giving his promo by the writers and just go, okay, well, now I need to make this mine. How do I do that? That's going to be the key for Dragunov going forward. He's going to need to take that next step to get to that next level. Otherwise, he's always going to be dictated into that tag team, U.S. champion, intercontinental champion, that kind of a range. To take that next step, he's going to have to take it on his own.
So if memory serves me correctly, they had a wonderful, some years ago, probably about 3-4 years ago during COVID, had a wonderful NXT UK match with Walter, aka Gunther. And it was, I think it was a dominant match for Walter beating Ilya at the time, and then turned around. I don't know. I think he did win the NXT UK championship at one point. But it was that particular match that everybody wants to see again happen now on the main roster. And what we have learned is that when you have rivalries, whether in NXT or in New Japan or in TNA or Ring of Honor, and they relegate to WWE, it doesn't match the same wavelength, maybe because they've gotten older or they're getting different or trained differently like they were when they were overseas. I want to see that type of match, but would it still live up to the hype as what it did in the past? That's
going to be the biggest issue, I think, because you have two different types of fans that watch NXT and WWE product. Yes, you will have fans that will transition back and forth to and fro, but you're going to have fans that are going to prefer the AEW product over the WWE product. They're going to prefer the NXT product over WWE and AEW. You're going to have somebody like myself who just kind of participates in a little bit of everything. Obviously, the NWA, AEW, WWE, NXT, GCW, whatever kind of entity that's out there, TNA, obviously is out there still. And I look at all of those and I go, okay, in what universe where you've got these characters that are out there performing and doing what they're doing? And I'll give you a great example. You look in the past, and I know this is a toxic name to say in the wrestling world, and this is something that has been shied away from a lot of people, but you cannot deny the impact of this individual on the wrestling business, and that was Chris Benoit. And whether or not people, turn their nose at what he had done, and I will not comment on that, but if you just look at the body of work, what he did in the ring, and you discount all the other stuff, you say, he's, top 20, top 30 in the history of being in the ring. He's one of those guys that was just that good. You look at his stuff with Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, his stuff in WCW that he was doing, his matches with Dean Malenko over there. You look at his stuff with the Horsemen during the mid-late 90s when they had the reformation of the Four Horsemen. You look at all those things and you go, wow, he was so talented. And you look at the same thing with Eddie Guerrero. Right. And you say, prior to his untimely passing, he was essentially at the top of the pinnacle of his height of success and his fame. And, I feel that where Jey Uso is, in the level of where he's at now, that's kind of main event Jey, right? That's his moniker, that's his thing, that's his shtick that he's doing with the whole Yeet thing and everything else that's going on. I think it would be detrimental. And then a lot of fans are saying, oh, we're going to have a bloodline civil war, right? This is where we're headed with all of this. Roman's going to come back, and there's we got all these different characters that are now playing these games, and we're going to have a split. We're going to have a delineation between the two, and we're going to have the Uso brothers reform. And I think that is so detrimental to the build of that character, is that it would hurt him so bad going into the future to build that character into a main event star and keep them at that level. I think that it would be a detriment to WWE to do that to Jey. Now, when it comes to some of these other characters coming up, as we said with Dragunov earlier, or Gunther, or even somebody like The Miz, right? Where Miz has been around for years and years and years. He's had a couple of runs as a champion, but he's still that guy that kind of just hangs in there. And if they ever need somebody to just kind of step in, somebody's hurt, somebody's having an issue, maybe there's some legal trouble, whatever, somebody has to step away, you've got that guy ready to plug in. And I think that's where Dragunov and Gunther and all of these other guys are right now. When you talk about Priest and you talk about Drew and you talk about Punk doesn't need the championship. He is so over, he's over like Rover. He doesn't have to have the belt or the strap. It's a prop. That's all it is. It's to build the character into something that is universally looked at as the best or the greatest. And that's where we're at with those characters. You mentioned that about Jey Uso. I want to use him for an example, because it's going to come to a point where 70,000 and he's fighting for the title. I'm talking about WWE World Heavyweight title, and he wins it. And he's going to be so over when it happens that you hope you don't want to make it too late for him, when you do it. And he's like, well, he's still got a good body of work on him and whatnot. And I get that, Jeremy, that he'll never be the WWE champion. But the thing is, you got to see it. You got to put it on him. You got to put it on him to see what that looks like. We said the same thing about Kofi, right?
And he had a good 6-month run.
He had a 6-month run, but they killed him on the back end of it. They still made him look like a goof, and that was the biggest problem that I had with that entire run. I was excited for Kofi. I was excited, for the possibility and the probability of what that run would have looked like and what it would have meant and what they could have done with that character. The direction they could have turned him heel. Oh my God, could you imagine a heel Kofi? Could you imagine if he went full blast heel, and he did by any means necessary to win? He cut the shoelaces on your boots. He would, brass knuckles, which Logan Paul's using now, which is a William Regal thing from back in the day. Any of that stuff. He could have done any of that. He could have been this really, really super over heel, because as we know of watching any of this product for any amount of time, the heels were always the guy that you knew could be beat, and you knew the good guy could get him if he could just get his hands on him.
Exactly.
And that was the thing with Flair. That's what in the 70s and the 80s, what made Flair into being the dirtiest player in the game and having that moniker was because he always had the Horsemen to back him up. He always was cheating. He's pulling the tights. He was grabbing the rope. He was doing everything like that he could to win the game. And that's what he did. And that's how Triple H, during his reign of terror in the early 2000s, that's why he was so unilaterally hated during that time frame. Jeff Jarrett in TNA during that same time frame was having his reign of terror over in TNA. It's just a crazy thing to think about some of these runs, especially with Kofi. That's the one I always go back to. And you had him squashed by Brock Lesnar. I mean, just absolutely squashed. That was such a wasted opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more I look at that, it was crazy, that whole run, because Kofi got squashed by Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley got squashed by Brock Lesnar, and Big E got squashed by Brock Lesnar.
And you go back and you look at some of those matches, right? And you look at some of those Lesnar matches. And you look at the Cena match, and I know what went on behind the scenes and the private conversations that led up with the talent behind the curtain, what led up to that decision to do what they did with Suplex City, which is what built into what, the t-shirts that they sold, everything that they did, the whole program of Suplex City. When Paul Heyman would come out, he's going to take you to Suplex City, and he would enunciate on every word, and he would have you hang on it. But the thing is that Brock, when he took Cena to Suplex City for the very first time, it was really John's idea. John came out and said, hey man, what if we just went completely sideways with this? Because we're trying to build you for Roman, right? We're trying to build you into this absolute unbeatable monster. You cannot be beat by anyone, even one of the greatest of all time, and John Cena, the multi-time champ, the championship.
He shocked everybody
and just beat the dog trash out of him. And then guess what? Brock had that match with Randy. Remember when he busted him open the hard way?
Yeah.
And who do you think's idea that was? That was Randy's. And Jericho was universally pissed when they went backstage, because Jericho wanted to fight Lesnar in real life. He was going to fight him. And he went back through the curtain because nobody knew. Nobody knew. They kept it so straight, so kayfabe, that even the guys in the back didn't even know. Even the talent, they didn't even know. There was only a handful of people, and I mean a handful, less than this many, that actually knew what was going on with Lesnar and Orton at that time during that match.
Wow.
And that's the way you keep these secrets. And when you have these conversations with talent, man, you really want this to go over? You want it to go over real, real good? This is how you do it. You don't tell anybody about what you're going to do. You go out there and you make it look like this was a shoot. This was a shoot, and he whipped Randy's butt in seconds, busted him open the hard way. And again, we're leading him on down the road to slaughter for Roman Reigns. And for Roman Reigns to be the tribal chief. This was all a slow burn build just to get to that. Long-term storytelling.
Yeah, that's what the biggest thing about this is long-term storytelling. Everybody, you have to look at this whole thing with the bloodline, and we got to go because my next guest has arrived. So that's what you have to look at. Everybody's getting upset. I'm like, why is this going the way that it's going? It's for long-term storytelling. We didn't even talk about Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul, but the thing is, the whole thing, did you ever hear about how Roman said at WrestleMania 39 that it's best that Cody loses at Mania to get him ready for 40. Him and Paul Heyman said,
right.
They talked about it because I knew that this was the person that was working behind this, that it would be best that he does not win this match here. He wins it at 40. Bigger scale. He won the Rumble. They did the whole thing. And when The Rock came in, it was great. A lot of people didn't see it that way.
Well,
yes, and I get it.
We saw it that way. Yeah, the Bloodline will have an issue. They're trying to make Solo the guy, and Tonga's getting the crowd reaction he is. I mean, Tonga was over. He hasn't even said a word.
Exactly.
He's over. And he's
That's why if they bring in Jacob Fatu, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge problem.
And again, I've heard this from the rumor mills. And again, this goes right back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Civil War stuff. They're trying to create this bloodline split Civil War type of thing to where you're going to have
back in the day,
like NWO. But again, this is where the problem starts, is that with the NWO, they kept adding and adding and adding and adding until they had to do this split out of just necessity. They had to force it. And that's where the problem was. They shouldn't have built it. The NWO should have been Hogan, Hall, Nash, and a fourth member. And that should have been it. There should have been nobody else. And that fourth member shouldn't have came into the very, very back end before they split the group up. Because they've learned from history. Look at Evolution. How many?
4
members. When did DX start having problems? It's when they got more than this.
Yep.
When did the Four Horsemen have success?
When they try to add more. Yep.
I'm just saying.
Derek, we could go on all day about this.
Oh, we could.
Yeah, we go all day. But we got
the main man coming up now.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna have him come up. He's gonna come up after the break. Derek, thank you so much, man. Real quick, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and your show.
Derek King Sports on X, Gateway City Sports, Facebook, X, everywhere else in between. GatewayCitySports.com, the website. Go over there, check it out. Time, you'll find a Derek King Sports Show, and we are going to be doing another Battlehawks ticket game day giveaway this next week. I'll get you guys the details, but make sure you stay tuned.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to close it out with some WNBA right after this. You are checking in with the A-Train Show and Derek King right here on Fuel Sports Network. We'll be back.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
It's time I get in the game, forget the money and fame. Stay ready, making sure that they remember my name. I got a hunger inside when the numbers are tied. Yo, I'ma turn it up a level, never will be denied.
Welcome back to this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane. It's time to talk a bit of the W last night. They kicked off their new season this year. And, of course, the topic of discussion was Caitlin Clark on her first game against the Connecticut Sun. And the nightcap after that was the Phoenix Mercury against the back-to-back champion Las Vegas Aces. Here to touch on with it today is my man from the Jersey to King show. You catch him on the Gridiron, and every week right here on Fuel Sports Network. It's our Vegas contributor as well, Kevin JTK Womble. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
What's going on, y'all?
Amanda?
Feeling good.
I feel I hear a big the sound is different, man, for you today. What's up with that?
Oh wait.
Yeah, I hear you like you far away.
There we go.
There
we go. I always forget to do that. I forget I'm using a different a different PA system thing going on here.
Yeah,
I'm back to my 10 lamp board. So yeah.
Let's touch on it, man.
You know,
as we talking today, man. Before we get to your I see you got your Aces thing. Is that Candace Parker you got? Yeah.
It's CP3. You know, it's Lady CP3. You know, I'm just saying. The GOAT. You know what I mean? The GOAT.
Absolutely, man. Cool. So main thing
three-time champ.
I think was if I was correct.
Thank you, Jeremy.
What'd he say?
He said congrats.
Congrats on uncovering.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Congratulations on
big
that.
Things,
sir.
Man.
Yeah,
that was big for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what was that experience like for you, man?
What? Listen. I know they say everything's big in Texas and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to sports and entertainment, Vegas is king.
Vegas is
you
king,
go into this. You go into the Mandalay Bay to get to Michelob Ultra Arena. First of all, so you have to walk through a casino just to get there.
Yeah,
beautiful. Let's hope you get past the slot machines and the food court and the bar and all that, you know, the tables and all that before you get there. But you know, if you can get past all that, you can, you know, let your urges go. You're good.
You're so stupid.
That's just a beautiful. I'm just saying that's a beautiful thing. But no, it's awesome, man. You actually check in for media people. You actually check in at a VIP ticket office. You know what I mean? You go in, check in, give them your ID. They give you a little badge. They just, you know, I was like, hey, it's Kevin Womble with Fuel Sports Network. They check my name on the list. My name's on the list. I'm like, okay.
It
this
got
is
real,
big, man. Like, because like at that moment, it's like, okay, I'm really in the big leagues. Like, however anybody wants to look at it, if you want to sit here and keep diminishing the W, keep on doing it. But I'm just telling you, the growth of this league is happening right now. And so it's not just because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and this draft class.
Yeah,
it's because of what's coming in the future from the college game as well. Y'all got to understand there are some very, very talented women. Juju Watkins, Paige Beckers. Like, I can go on and name a bunch, but we don't have enough time. I'm just letting you know the future of the W is real and it's rising. Why do you think they implemented that charter flights? You know what I mean? Like, they implemented that for a reason because they know the growth of this league is coming and it's coming fast. Thank you, Derek. I really appreciate it. Jeremy, really, the WNBA is about to blow up. But that experience was so beautiful, man, just getting to that part. Now, I thought I had to, you know, enter where everybody else enters. You know what I mean? I just got a media pass so I can just walk through the metal detector and be cool and go wherever they need me to. No. I got to go through the little secret entrance. I get to go down in the little cave. You know what I'm saying? It was cool, man. I'm like, where are we going? She's like, the Bat Cave.
Did she tell you that?
Caroline Williams. That's what it felt like. She didn't say that, but she was just like, we're going to where, you know, the media and the magic happens. You know, this is where the staff.
That's amazing, man.
Because
you were up top and stuff, man. Yeah, you looking down and whatnot.
You get Food. You get a catering service. They have a whole little spot for you to just go in and then there's food
Probably
there.
probably better than what the UFL was putting out. Jesus Christ.
Man,
This is some of the
I'm
pics from
not going to say anything, but
that
yes,
is nice. Ring is
it's
beautiful.
huge. It's huge.
Look at that.
As much as I'm not a huge fan of Al Davis, he did his thing with those rings, man.
Mark Davis.
Him
Yeah. Oh
and,
yeah. Mark.
or I said Al Davis. Sorry, Mark Davis. I always call him Al. I don't know why. I always want to call him
Because
Little
he's
Al.
Al's son.
But
He's
no,
Al's son.
Mark Davis. He outdid himself with these rings, man. They are huge. Shout out to Jostens and Mark Davis, owner of the Aces, as well as the GOAT TB12, Tom Brady, who was in attendance. They did their thing designing these rings. Like when I say these WNBA rings have diamonds on top of diamonds,
on top of
no,
diamonds.
literally. If you watch the press conference interview with Asia Wilson, she said, you know, diamonds are the girl's best friend. She's, man, that experience. I'm telling you guys, if you are into covering sports, man, get into covering the WNBA because these ladies are hilarious. They will have you cracking up when it comes to these post-game interviews or just interviews, period, because they get to be themselves. You know what I mean? They get to really be free and be themselves because they know we're just wanting that from them. You know what I mean? So just seeing them in these post-game conferences, man, Asia Wilson's a damn fool, yo. I swear, she is hilarious. She is hilarious. And Becky Hammond, shout out to Coach Hammond, man. She's hilarious as well. Like she keeps it real. She keeps it real. She did not hold anything back. You know what I mean?
Yes, and it's going to happen. Of course, I'm going to make my.
You didn't hear?
I'm making my pitch. Oh yeah, trust me. I've heard everything.
They didn't hear.
I heard that
you didn't hear?
Valkyries are here.
The Golden State Valkyries are here. Yes,
they're here.
2025. So, yeah. The Golden State Valkyries are coming to the W.
I'm really going to be interested.
They're here. They already officially announced their name and put out their logo.
I wonder what the Toronto team is going to look like.
Do you think they're going to try and go with something similar to the Raptors? Because if you look at it,
I really don't.
Golden State Warriors. But if you look at it, the Golden State Warriors, Golden State Valkyries.
Yeah, see, that makes sense. And I get that. But I don't think they're going to, unless they have some type of lady dragon that we don't know about, you know. I see something that's going to be a bit more different, you know, like how the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Sky, those are two totally different teams. You know what I mean? And I think they're going to go on that.
But they're similar because of the Windy City.
Correct. It matches what Chicago's about. But the Bulls was a team name that somebody gave out. So that's what that was. But, of course, at the home opener for the Las Vegas Aces, they did pull out the win, 87-80. It was pulling teeth. Because, wait a minute, at one point during the game, they were up. It was Asia Wilson 17. Points. Asia Wilson 17. Phoenix Mercury 14.
But it wasn't just Asia Wilson 17. It was also Alicia Clark's 4 points, Jackie Young's 2 points, Kelsey Plum's 2 points at that time.
But at the same time, we was looking at
max lead was 18, and then here comes the second quarter. Like the first quarter, let me tell you, the Aces came out swinging, boom, boom, boom. They're eating up that zone, slicing up that zone. The bad thing about this game, though, honestly, was the 3-point shooting. It was abysmal. But and for us Phoenix, to have shooters on this team, the Aces shot 20% from 3. They were 6 for 29 in the game,
and they were able to maintain even when they were down at one point, you know. But it was like a slim lead when Phoenix actually took the lead. It was looking really
was 68,
Like,
64.
yeah, and I was like, come on, man. Like, the Aces better not lose at home because you already know without shadow of a doubt, Asia Wilson would have been pissed after that game. You think y'all would have had happy time in that press conference, man? It would have been a whole different outlook had they took a L. But they were going to get the win. They got the win by 7, and
on ring night,
and of course the aforementioned, well, she wasn't the MVP. She's still pissed about that 4th place vote that she got this past year. Brianna Stewart wound up getting the MVP. So now she on a mission. Asia Wilson 30-13 in the opening game. And, she was phenomenal from the floor. But one thing that we have to see here, Nate Tibbetts from the Phoenix Mercury, they are going to play like if we're going to use an NBA comparison, we got to look at like the Golden State Warriors or Boston Celtics type of game because they love to shoot from the outside. And they were knocking down shots that second quarter and going into that fourth quarter. They were putting pressure on the Aces to try and pull away. And they can't. They stay right in the game.
A-Train. Diana Taurasi was, I believe, 7 for 10 from the 3. Yeah. And their defense is really, really scrappy. Their defense, because that zone started bothering the Aces in the second and third quarter. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where we started getting back to what we were looking like somewhat in the first quarter. And that was, I think, the key to winning the game overall. But it was scary. And you got to remember, this was a Phoenix Mercury team without Brittany Griner, without BG, without that presence in the paint.
So you can
almost this could have been a different game. This could have been a different outcome. Yeah. And then without our point guard, they took advantage of that.
The play of Jackie Young,
not having Chelsea Gray out there as well.
The play of Jackie Young last night was great. She was able to stay within the flow of the game, knocking down shots when she needed to, showcasing what she did last season in the WNBA finals against New York. It was evident. It was really evident, man, that this team is poised to try and win its 3rd championship back to back and to match on the same wavelengths of the Houston Comets in the forefront of the WNBA's days. So a good start for them so far.
Yeah.
With this win against Phoenix. You already know, he said, what we're saying, I was referring that they need more expansion teams and Golden State teams. Revive the comments from Houston that A-Train and maybe explore putting teams in non-NBA markets. I think he's going after St. Louis because that's what that's referring to, the non-NBA markets. Oh, the only reason why you saying that is because of your freaking team, Jeremy. But for both teams, they know that, meaning the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Aces both know how hard that is winning 3 championships. It has a target on your back. It instantly. And so, that's going to be the difficult task for both of those teams, granted, in their respective sports.
And then you also have to look at it this way as well. The Aces know that they have to come out the gate swinging. They're down their starting point guard. And in my opinion, re-signing Emma Cannon and bringing back Emma Cannon and releasing waiving Angel Jackson was, I don't think that was the best idea. I think that would have been a better move to keep Angel Jackson. She would have been able to learn from Asia Wilson. She would have been able to grow from Megan and Angel, and Asia and those other bigs on the team. And then and Kia, you know what I mean? And I believe she would have been able to get that growth and development a lot faster than bringing back Emma Cannon and not knowing what we're going to get out of her this time around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun year for sure. It's going to be a fun year.
Let's touch a little bit about it before we head out. Was Caitlin Clark's debut yesterday for the Indiana Fever against the Connecticut Sun. They took a loss to Connecticut, and here was I seen something on social media about Caitlin Clark, and this was kind of tying in what Diana Taurasi was saying. And I'm still wondering why people were upset of what she went through yesterday. Here's a quick clip. Okay, you saw that, right? You saw the play with her, and she, hit the floor. She's competing like everybody else. She's going to have to compete at a high level. First game, 20 points, 5 of 15 shooting, 10 turnovers. She herself was unhappy with her performance. And that's the main thing.
She definitely was.
She did not love her performance whatsoever. And I think that's when
she criticized herself. You know, she definitely criticized herself about those 10 turnovers. She was like, I got to clean it up. I got to be crisper. And I commend her on that, because to make your WNBA debut after all this hype and you don't play your greatest, you still scored 20 points, but you had a double-double with 10 turnovers, and you were able to criticize yourself and be unhappy with your performance while everyone else is trying to praise you. And I commend her for being, woman enough to see where she was at fault and know where she has to clean up her game. So that's amazing to see. And it just shows you the growth and maturity already, just like that. Because she said it herself. She just wants to play the game. All this hype and everything around her, it's nothing to her. She just wants to play the game. She just wants to be normal and play the game. So we'll see, man. But I definitely commend her.
But that Connecticut Sun team, they were all about getting the dub, 27 victories last season, making the playoffs, and they showcased why they were strong and they were a playoff team. And to sit there and say, where watching like Dejanay Carrington having to guard Caitlin Clark was very interesting to watch, because Clark can shoot from anywhere on the floor, but it made it difficult at times, and that game was translating this. What was he saying? The team around her is not very good. She will have to learn how to play with lesser players around. You can't really say that.
Aaliyah Boston ain't very good. Aaliyah Boston ain't very good.
This is not an Iowa system, sir. This is and the reason why the Iowa coach just retired, because she's not going to have a player like Caitlin Clark, and she did not want to deal with a rebuild on next season.
Yeah,
that's what that's about.
And then she doesn't have Kate Martin either.
That's horrible. That's a horrible analogy to even say lesser players. No, the team didn't do great, but that's a professional team at the end of the day. Just like we sat here and we talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, you would say the way that they played this past year that they were a lesser team. But guess what they were able to do? They were able to pull it out. They were able to do it. So to sit there and say,
and you got to imagine,
team, that's not right. It's not okay.
Indiana's in a rebuild stage.
Exactly.
They're in a rebuild stage, and they have one of the best point guards to ever come out of college basketball in the women's side. One of the best, because you have to look at what Caitlin did in college. She wasn't just a great shooter. She was a great distributor of the ball as well.
Right.
So she's learning. She has to learn the Fever system. It's not the players around her that's lesser than her, because you can't tell me that she's better than Aaliyah Boston, because they play two different positions. And Aaliyah Boston's a beast at her positions. She's actually the star of that team. Caitlin Clark has just got to come into her own and be that other star of the team, with the other players that are there to fill in the role of, hey, maybe they do have a big three. We just haven't seen it yet, because we have to watch Caitlin Clark grow.
It's game one. Like, you got to understand, this is it's going to be growing pains for her. And you can't sit here and say she's got lesser known players when you got 10 turnovers. When she's the one that's having those types of issues. It ain't lesser known players. This was herself.
And Aaliyah Boston's getting a double-double.
And right.
Well, you know what I mean? Team, you got to look at it. Aaliyah Boston. Exactly. They're a young team, and Aaliyah Boston is that leader. She's that leader of the team. It's not Caitlin Clark just because she got drafted there.
And they're playing against grown women.
I'm sorry.
playing against grown women. So they get an off season. They do get an off season where they get to be around their teammates and stuff. I think now that she's in the play, Angel Reese is in the play, Cordioso, Cameron Brink are now here. And if the success of this year, this is my biggest ploy from what he's saying. I get that they were together for a while, but they're all going to have to drift apart at some point.
And they're playing in a college system.
Exactly.
Not a professional WNBA system where the coaching's different. That why do you think, like he said, Iowa's coach is retiring? Because she knows she doesn't have Caitlin Clark. She doesn't have Kate Martin. She doesn't have the pieces that she's had over the last 4 years. So she knows she's not young enough to go through a rebuild process to get back where they were at. So that's why she's retiring. And then on top of that, again, you have to look at it. How do these women not have an off season together? Most of these women do summer workout or winter and fall workouts. Trust me, because they have it on the news out here about the WNBA players coming together and doing their own thing during the off season to stay in shape and be ready for anything. Because a lot of them are going overseas and playing in international leagues. And they're trying to change that with the growth of the WNBA. So these women's salary will grow as well. And they don't have to go overseas and we get another BG situation. So that's what you have to look at.
That's on the W. All of that is on the W.
These women are growing this league. You can't think of it as anything less. They're gonna be. I give it 2 more years, and they're gonna be looked at damn near as the same as the NBA as far as talent and just overall popularity of the W.
And I'm hoping that the narratives in the WNBA can be controlled, like removed and stuff like that. Because right now there was some conversation about the charter flights that Chicago Sky had to fly commercially, whereas the Indiana Fever, they got a chartered flight. And, you know, a lot of that is in play this time, man. And I'm like, I needed all that, you know, to end because we're looking at them to catapult into the future, the WNBA. And we want to see more teams. We want to see the growth of this league happen. And, you know, we didn't even get to all the teams, but congratulations to Minnesota getting their first win. Napheesa Collier, St. Louis's own, 20 points. Yes. Alana Smith with 22. And then also the New York Liberty beating the Washington Mystics 85-80. So yeah,
it was a close one.
A lot of interesting games in
that Mystics and Liberty game, man.
Opening day was
definitely
exactly what. Great start to the league, man. Jersey, before you go, man, tell everybody where they can catch you before we get out of here.
The JTK Show, either the JTK Show on X or Facebook. It's Kevin Womble Jr. or the Jersey the King Show on YouTube. It's Jersey the King, and on TikTok. Well, no, there is no Jersey the King Show TikTok. There's a Gridiron TikTok. You can find the Gridiron Show as well on TikTok and Instagram and all that. So watch the show.
All right, this is the A-Train signing off.
You know where to find me, guys.
That's JTK. I'm the A-Train. We'll catch you next time for another edition of the show. Friday. Want to talk about too. So we'll catch you next time right here on the A-Train Show, right here on Fuel Sports Network. See y'all later.